Mr. Petritsch, welcome to our studio and our program.
Thank you. Always come.
Many of younger viewers, actually, they don't know that the establishment of this memorial center began with you in 2000, and people are grateful for a reason. And if you can recall, and I'm sure you can, at that time the main challenge and the desire was how to bring back people to their native places. You know, the desire now is unfortunately to leave. Do you think, could you have done more so we could have more residents here in Srebrenica now?
Well, I tell you, it's a strange situation that we were confronted at the time. It was about 4 years after the end of the war, and the numbers in terms of victims of the Srebrenica genocide were not yet clear. We knew that there were many more than originally thought, but then the question came up, what to do, where to bury the dead. And so we started a discussion with the mothers of Srebrenica, and then it turned out they wanted to have a cemetery close to Srebrenica. And we agreed in the end to have it in Potocari, and there was a field, there was nothing here, so we acquired this field, and on exactly today, 25 years ago, we laid the foundation stone, which is still around there. This is where the flowers are being laid. And that was a ceremony where maybe 50, 70 people, not more, were present. It was hot as like today, I remember. And it was a very small first step, but it was symbolic. In this way, we took over, so to speak, ownership, if I may say so, for the Srebrenica survivors to bury their dead here. That was the first step. And then I followed up with legislation. It's always necessary, administration, legislation, and so on, in order to have the cemetery here. We purchased this and made the first attempts to turn it into a cemetery. And then the opposite side was the battery factory, which was the headquarters of the UN forces, Dutchbat. And there was a tendency, I heard from Banja Luka, they would like to privatize it, because everything in Bosnia was up for privatization, and said this cannot happen here. And this was the first step also towards turning this into the memorial center. And whenever I come here, I'm absolutely amazed and touched, and moved how much has developed. Of course, also each and every white stone stands for a human being who was killed. Yeah? And these thousands of white stones, and on the opposite side, the memorial center, where excellent work is being done in terms of memory, but also in terms of research. And what I think is the most important thing is education. People are forgetting, and if you forget something, you tend to repeat the mistakes of the past and the crimes of the past. So Srebrenica is more than just something for the region and for the relatives, the survivors. It is a symbol for remembrance which goes well beyond Bosnia-Herzegovina. And we are today confronted with quite a few other genocides, which means that we really need to keep up Srebrenica and to push into the memorial center life, so that in future these such things will not happen. I'm skeptical when I say this, but I think it is necessary. Will not change the world.
Why are you skeptical?
I'm skeptical inasmuch as I think we are not going to prevent another genocide by cultivating, so to speak, the Srebrenica, but I think it is important to send a signal that this must not happen. And if it happens, the world will do what we have tried to achieve in Srebrenica. At least to remember that so many innocent people were killed.
But I'm trying to turn you back to the issue of returning people to Srebrenica. Do you regret of anything? Because there's not many inhabitants here in Srebrenica. You see, this memorial is almost empty now, an hour after the commemoration.
Yeah, I know. This is a very tragic development for all of Bosnia. When I left in 2002, Bosnia had about 4.2 million inhabitants. Now it's probably under 2.5 million even already, you know, informally speaking. And this clearly has also an effect, particularly in the countryside. And who would like to live here where there is no industry, where there are no jobs work, and where the memory really is so heavy on the people? You know, when I entered Srebrenica 2 or 3 days ago for a visit, I was really shocked what kind of atmosphere there is. But I can tell you,
you were sad. I saw it in your eyes. You were sad.
Yes. I really thought that this is something. But then, you know, such crimes, they create irreversible situations. And I'm staying in Bratunac in a pension there, and the Bratunac, of course, is known for other crimes. You know, there quite a few Serbs were killed, and you have the photos of them. Whether they all are indeed were killed, I don't know. But there is also a sort of a remembrance there, and I think what the future of the Memorial Center should be is also not just to try and prevent and help to prevent other genocides, but also remember other innocent civilians who were killed in the region, not to be compared. This is a unique crime that was perpetrated in Srebrenica. But I think we need to, after 30 years, try and reach out to the erstwhile enemy and those who killed, but also to those survivors whose loved ones were killed and are from a different ethnic community.
Mr. Petritsch, I have to switch from topic to topic because we don't have much time, but you know the current High Representative, Mr. Schmidt. You had the opportunity to meet him this morning. You know the circumstances in which he works. Does he ever ask you about opinion or advice on his potential future moves? Because of your experience?
Well, I tell you, Mr. Schmidt is a very experienced politician. He was a minister of agriculture in Germany. We have met on several occasions. I have, of course, always offered also, not advice, but if he wants to talk to me, on occasion we spoke. But I have to tell you that it is difficult for me to give a specific advice. I wouldn't want to do this. What I think is important, for me at least, is to present to the world the bigger picture of Bosnia. Yeah? The High Representative, the job is dramatically reduced. I mean, a quarter of a century after almost 30 years after the war, actually exactly 30 years after the war, you cannot have the same tool around OHR. One should have already changed into a more adequate tool, a more adequate approach to the Bosnian problems which are still around. And I strongly believe the only solution is to be faster and more specific and more robust when it comes to bringing Bosnia closer to the European Union. Europe is the home of Bosnia-Herzegovina, the European Union, and not OHR.
Finally, yesterday you told to the victims, millions, don't worry, millions are behind you. But on the other hand, a few months ago in our program, you said that the conflict in Bosnia is very possible. So the main question is now, would the international community betray these people once again?
No, I don't think so. I see the situation, the geopolitical situation is very much different. When I refer to millions are behind you, it's of course more of a phrase, but it is a concrete remark about the fact that Bosnia-Herzegovina is surrounded basically by NATO countries. So the European NATO countries are very much looking after the situation in Bosnia-Herzegovina. There's a NATO office in Sarajevo. There's of course EUFOR, UFOR, Artea who are here. That when a crisis erupted a couple of months ago, immediately the number of soldiers went up. So here you can see what took others 20 or 30 years ago, maybe, or 35 years ago, many months or years, that was done within a relatively short period of time. So it means the governments are looking quite carefully what is happening here. They cannot do a lot. Maybe they are not capable also of doing as much as we did 25 years ago. But I can tell you there is not going to be a situation where Bosnia will be abandoned.
We hope so. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. Poštovani gledalci, bio je ovo visoki predstavnik, bivši visoki predstavnik u Bosni i Hercegovini, Wolfgang Petritsch.